Hi guys, I just wanted to make a quick video on my gastric sleeve surgery. It's been 12 days since surgery, and I just wanted to give a little update on the process. So when I went in for pre-op a week before surgery, the doctor says, if you have a hiatal hernia, I will be repairing it. And he showed us a video of what a hiatal hernia looks like. It's like a hole in the stomach. They have different sizes. Some people have small ones and some people's are bigger. And a couple of the patients knew that they had the hernia. They had it was revealed through different scans. I had tons of scans and no hernia was shown or mentioned. So, got my surgery the next week. I wake up, I'm moaning, pain, gas pain, and the nurse goes, "Yeah, you had your hernia repaired." And I'm like, "What? I had a what?" So on all of my like discharge instructions and everything, it just basically talked about how if you had a hernia repaired, it will cause additional pain and discomfort and probably a longer recovery time. For example, I can't lift anything that weighs more than 8 or 10 pounds for 6 weeks. Um, so that was that. And then just in general around the process, if you're thinking about having a gastric sleeve surgery or any type of bariatric surgery for that matter, I would say the best advice I could give you would be to start early. It is not like it's nothing for this process to take 6 or 7 months easily. Very easy. For me, I started thinking about having the surgery, I believe, November or October of 2022. I had my first doctor's appointment to start the process, like a weigh in December 2022. And then I didn't get my surgery until August of this year. And one of the things that happened during my process was that I was born with this rare birth defect called a double aortic arch. And when I went to see my bariatric surgeon, the first thing he asked was, "Have you seen a cardiologist about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did when I was 15 because or 14. I had a surgery when I was 14 to remove this growth from my tongue. And when they were doing all these different tests, they were like, 'Oh, you have this double aortic arch, and now you need to get cardiac clearance before you can have the surgery because they worry about putting patients who have a double aortic arch under anesthesia.'" So, anyways, when I was 14, this pediatric cardiologist cleared me to have this growth removal surgery on my tongue. So because I'm 30, the doctor's like, "Well, it's been too many years since you had that clearance, so you need to go back to a cardiologist." And that's when things got crazy. I went to three different cardiologists because the first two literally did not know anything about the double aortic arch condition. Literally, again, it's rare birth defect. And so it was really funny because the second cardiologist I went to, he's like, "Yeah, I can't help you. You're the first patient I've ever seen with a double aortic arch." But I trained with another cardiologist who is familiar with double aortic arches, and he's a pediatric cardiologist, but he actually takes cases like this. So I went to the pediatric cardiologist, and like immediately, like you could tell the difference. Like he knew exactly what was going on with me. He just knew a lot about the condition, and so he was able to clear me for surgery. He just added this special guidance about I don't understand the anatomy, and so I don't know if I think something may be enlarged on the right side or something like that. But whatever the case is, while I was in the hospital for the surgical process, they could only take my blood pressure on the right side. If they take the blood pressure on the left, it's basically considered it was almost considered like a false reading, but because to make sure I was safe, they needed to get it on the right side. And I guess I had never done it on the right side before. It's kind of people sort of default to taking your blood pressure on the left side. And so my blood pressure had always been really good. Like there was never any issues. And oh my God, when I say my blood pressure on my right side was so much higher than my left arm, it was insane. So I've been monitoring that just to make sure that there's not going to be a problem there. But anyways, like I said, I would encourage you to start early because of how long the process could take. Another piece of advice I would give you is just be selective with your doctor. Like be very, very selective with your doctor. There are tons of bariatric surgeons in Jacksonville, Florida. And I really took my time, like looking through them, like reading patient reviews. It's also not just the doctor, but it's going to be his office, his staff. So I wanted a doctor that was good. I wanted to know that his nurses were good and that his front desk was good. And I'm super satisfied with the decision I made. The doctor I went to, he's not the closest doctor to me in town. I could have went to people that, maybe the drive wouldn't be as long, but I feel like I made the right decision. He's a really good surgeon. His staff is just amazing. I knew my insurance company thankfully covered the procedure for me, but I didn't know the rules because every insurance company, they may cover a bariatric surgery, but they have certain requirements you may have to meet. And what his office did was like they called the insurance company, they talked to them about the rate, what the requirements were, and then they communicated to me what the requirements were, and they made sure I just checked like A, B, C, the boxes, and then for me, we were able to check those boxes fairly quickly. What took long for me was bouncing around all those cardiologists to get clearance because I couldn't get surgery until I got clearance. So once I got clearance, they were able to submit it to the insurance company. And normally they take 2 weeks to review your claim. They didn't even take 2 weeks. They approved it immediately. So it was a blessing because I've heard nightmares about getting bariatric surgeries approved. But it was really easy for me. Mine got approved, no problem. Let's see, is there any other advice just heading into surgery, not post surgery or anything like that? I would say research. I think just researching, like making the right decision for yourself. I mean, obviously, there are tons of bariatric surgeries that you can get. So, my doctor performs, to my knowledge, my doctor performs three lap band, gastric sleeve, and gastric bypass. And I knew like from the beginning, I didn't want a gastric bypass. Like that wasn't even on my list. So for the most part, I did research between lap band and gastric sleeve, and I decided to get the gastric sleeve because with the lap band, I did not want to have a foreign object in my body for the rest of my life. So that was like the deciding factor for me. Also, there were some other things about like gastric bypass, I mean, gastric sleeve that I thought like it just made sense. And the doctor went over, the doctor went over like some of the issues you could have with each surgery, and I researched some of the issues you could have with each surgery. One of the things I found was if you have an issue with the lap band or if something goes wrong with the lap band, a lot of people end up getting the gastric sleeve after that. So for me, it was like, why not just get it? Why not just start there? I know people who have it who've gotten gastric sleeve surgery, so I felt fairly safe. I mean, it's surgery and anything could happen. Um, but I didn't like any real fear of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die on the table. I didn't feel like that. I was very comfortable. It's a quick surgery. It takes about 2 hours, as long as nothing goes wrong. I'm not sure quite how long mine took. Maybe it was 2 hours. Maybe it was 2.5 hours because I had a hernia. But it definitely wasn't that long because when I woke, my surgery was early in the morning, and when I woke up from anesthesia, it was still morning time. So it was just like maybe 2 or 3 hours felt like it had passed by. So that's it. That's all my advice for now. I'll have more updates and different things later, but this is just like a early throwing it out there.